thing that works. Okay, we're live. Hello, everybody. Happy Healthy Women. So happy to be here this morning, or this morning, this afternoon, on Tuesday. So happy 2025 to everybody, and welcome to Today with Marsha Mohammed. So I'm super excited. Marsha is such a good friend of mine. She is a trailblazer in our digital branch. She is a digital marketer, knows all things digital marketing, and she is the founder of Social MD, which is an awesome company that does all types of digital marketing. So, Marsha, I'm so happy to have you with me today.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
So today is an exciting topic. They're always exciting topics, but today we're going to chat a little bit about marketing strategy. So this one's focused on business, which, one of the things about Happy Healthy Women is that it's a balance. We were just saying that we're balanced. It's a balance between all the things.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that I want to have the women in this community know so much is that, yes, we want to take care of our health and our wellness, but we also want to be smart with the time and the resources that we have. And so today we're talking about marketing strategy. So, Marsha, do you want to share a couple things about yourself and why? Yeah, we'll just start having conversation about marketing strategy and why it's such an important thing.
Well, it's a funny thing is, so as you know, my background, I worked corporate for a long time. And so I've seen in every business that's been successful, they're always it's about planning. It's a roadmap. And, there's a saying, planning to fail is, oh God, what is that quote?
When you fail to plan, you plan to
fail. Fail, exactly. Yeah. And it's so funny how I've kind of observed that women, as much as we are naturally planners, when it comes to business, I'm not seeing as much. Every time I talk to a female entrepreneur or business owner, and I ask them, do you have a plan? Do you have a marketing plan? None of them do.
Yeah.
And it has, and there's some of their hiccups or challenges have nothing to do with who they are or their product, is that they just didn't have a plan to execute and reach their goals. So the reason why, I was really excited about talking about this today is that any company I work with, we always come back to a foundation. And if you don't have that foundation, it's like a house, it will crumble. Everything you plan on top of it will one day fall down. So your marketing plan, which is your roadmap to success, and giving you some guidance, like goals, objectives, things that you need to achieve in your business. In life, we have that. Like if it's, when you're a kid, you finish school, you want to get married or you buy a house. We always plan these things, and that should show up in your business as well. 100%.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was listening to someone, I was chatting with someone yesterday who was telling me that they look ahead at their calendar to see all of the events, because they're in a very cultural business. So they're looking at all of the events that are coming up in their culture, and they plan their marketing around that. So does that have something to do with the strategy you're talking about, or do you want to dig a little bit deeper into what you mean?
So depending on what your business is, there's certain. So I put some notes here so I can keep on track. But there is some elements to your plan, and I'll go through a few of them. So first of all, when you start a business, and it's the same thing with myself, what is your business goal? What are you looking to achieve? Are you looking to achieve a sales goal? Is it a nonprofit business and you're looking to reach people? What is the actual goal of your business? Now, that can be broken down in the business. That could be in the first 3 months, my first goal is to obtain a website or create a website, get my brand on point, and make sure all my social presence is set up. That's a goal. It's a plan for 3 months. The next step it could be a sales goal. Maybe it's a business that's been established for 2 years. And at the beginning of every year, they want to set up themselves and say, okay, what did we learn last year? Or what was our objective last year? And what are we planning to achieve this year? What were some of the struggles we faced last year? And how do we plan to change them to render success for this year? So they're measuring from the year before, and then they're seeing what they need to change. So the first thing is your business goal. So let's say an example, someone started and they said, okay, I just quit my job. And my first goal is to at least make more than I made in my business. So say the person was making $80,000 and that's their goal. So their first year goal is to achieve revenue $80,000. Wonderful. They have a goal. Now, the second element is your metrics, your key metrics. How do you measure success? And as I mentioned before, you're measuring success. This person their success is if they achieve by sales. So their revenue, their metrics is, then they can break it down that if they sell 200 packages for the year, that would render them success. They will hit their goal of $80,000. So those are the first two elements, basically. It's identifying what it is. If we don't identify, I've asked many, many women, what's your goal? Oh, well, I just want to be successful. Okay, but that's not really a goal. It's not quantified, right? You're not putting something. Everyone wants to be successful, but your success may be very different to what I render as success. So we've actually got to put a number to it, put an action item that you can keep in front of you. And when I say some people put it right on their computer, some people will have that in a plan that they refer to every month so they know how they're pacing, but you need to have some sort of measurable number. Mm-hmm. Third element is the strategy. And that's basically the overview of the implementation on how you're going to achieve that goal. So as I mentioned, in order for me to hit my 80,000, I need to obtain 200 accounts. And basically that's going to quantify my 80,000 for the year. Right? So that's your strategy. You need to sell at least 200 services or products in order to hit your 80,000. Now, the plan. So that's the fourth element is the plan. So that is a detail of the execution. So that can be the human resources, the departments that's involved, software that you need to achieve. You need to understand is that now that you have the strategy, now that you know what you need to obtain in order to hit your goals, now you have to break it down to say, okay, if I'm going to have 200 packages sold, I need to have at least, I cannot handle it myself. That's no problem. I'm able to obtain that. Another person might be, well, in order for me to hit that, I might need to bring a person in part-time, or at least to administratively handle some things. If it's a bigger business, they may say, well, there's a marketing element and I'm going to have our marketing team handle that. And then we're going to have sales execute and do some cold calling. So there's still a plan in place that you go much deeper on. And finally is the fifth is measuring, is your reporting. What reports that you will achieve, what reports are you going to actually implement to achieve that success? What do you deem as success? Are you going to measure all the phone calls that your salespeople make or you make, and say out of 100 calls that is made, we are converting to sales. So that's the measuring part. Now, when you go through that, you're saying, okay, if we're making 100 calls and we're converting 2 people, that means we need to make 1,000 calls, or we need to make 2,000 calls in the month in order to achieve that. And if we're not, at the end of the month, we have a monthly review, and we're not hitting 1,000 calls. Why is that? Is it the person making the calls? Is it that the businesses that are, it's summertime and it's very hard to get in touch with people? That could be a challenge. Maybe we need to implement a different way. Maybe it needs to be emails compared to phone calls. But that reporting part, the measuring at the end of it, will still give you some clarity on to isolate what exactly is that barricade for you hitting your goals. If you don't do that last step, you're just going to assume it's you or your product, and might have nothing to do with that. So that's it. That's like really the 5 elements, very light. I mean, this is so basic. We only have 20 minutes, but that's just a little bit of a layers that when I work through a plan, it usually takes one of the sessions about 2 hours, and we dive so deep. And I tell them, I go, listen, you only need to do this once with me. After you do it once with me, every year you should do it on your own, once a year. You know all the questions that I've asked, and you know how I flowed, and you know the plan that I produced. Mimic that every year. So when people think, do I have to pay someone? You don't have to. Once you run through that yourself, it will give you some like a little bit of a direction on what you should be doing each and every year. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, it's an important plan that most people aren't doing at this point. So some of the questions that I ask, like in a typical session, is we talk about revenue. We talk about what resources they have. Like, as much as I've talked to businesses, there needs to be some sort of budget that can fit expectations. Now, a lot of people say, well, I would make $80,000. But realistically, to hit that goal, there probably needs to be some investment. It could be time, or it could be revenue, or like money. Most of the time when I'm talking to people, they're like, well, no, I don't have anything. So really, by discussing these questions, it gives them some clarity saying, okay, so she asked me my budget. When we looked at this whole plan, I can't physically do that without any money. Now that person can say, okay, I might need to ask friends or family or go to a bank or find some funding from the government so that I can successfully hit that goal. When you start to dive deep, it really shows you that it may not be, again, most of the times when people are not hitting their goals, they just come back to themselves. They reflect saying, I'm a failure. I didn't do it. They just didn't set them up those steps. So ask about goals. We ask about resources. We talk about their website. How is it converting? Is it resonating? It's funny that someone asked a question about brand colors. Right? And, how does that affect the website? We talk about those things. We talk about your potential consumer. What do they look like? If there's a person that's targeting women, but all of their creative and all their colors are all targeted to men, and they keep getting the wrong people, they're wasting time, and they wasted all that energy on creating something that didn't fit. So a marketing plan identifies also your ideal customer, the person that you should be targeting. So that gives you some clarity when you're doing your actual execution on, say you're a social media plan or you're doing some posts. It'll give more clarity to find that person rather than blanketing everybody. And you're getting people 10 people in the day calling you and they're not a fit for your business. Then when you basically get to that ending point again and you start to measure, we talk about this. We talk about what tools do they have in place to measure? Are they using an Excel? Are they even measuring at all? It's so funny, out of those calls that I have, how many questions I ask that people are so surprised they never think about. So in that session, we're doing the plan, but they're also getting educated and I ask questions that they should be thinking about at least once a month, and which to me is a positive, because I try to set them up so they can continue doing this on their own. There's some businesses that don't have the time. No problem, they can partner with me. But most of the time, if someone can do this, I believe they should be looking at these numbers on a regular. They should be looking at a plan to achieve and come to that goal. And think about your business. I remember when I first met you and we chit chat, and we're talking instantly. We start talking about our goals. Where do we want to go with our business? How are we pacing? Right? And some businesses I ask, they don't even know how to answer that question. We talk about, what did you make last month? Oh, actually, Marcia, I don't really know. And I'm like, you really don't know what you made last month? How do you know if you did well? And then how do you know if you should be increasing your advertising, or what you did worked really well and you should keep doing what you're doing? They don't know. So it becomes a mess.
Totally. And it's a fine balance between, your revenue, your analytics, and your efforts, right? You really have to keep an eye on all of those things. And I know that that's something that you and I have talked about so many times, which has inspired me to have a better eye on all of that stuff, right? That's really, really important. So Marcia, where do you come in with this? If someone is watching this and they're thinking, okay, no idea where to start with this, and we in Happy Healthy Women, we are a lot of a lot of the women that join are solopreneurs right now. They're in coaching, or they're just building a business right now. They're just in the sort of the beginning stages. Where can you come in for them? Because I do know that you work with really large clients and corporate clients as well. So yeah, where do you stand with that? Do you help them with the strategy? Do you help them implement?
So as you know, I came from corporate, but my passion is to help every level of business. So when I work, I give options, especially when I have that first call and I assess where they're at with their business, with their budget. I can quickly identify if it makes sense for them to work with me, meaning bringing me on as an extension of their team, or maybe they should attend a workshop and learn it first. And then later on, when they become, they have more revenue coming in, they can hire someone if they need to. But say, for example, it's a solopreneur. I do workshops all the time about, especially with marketing plans. We actually do, it's like a day workshop, and we would go deep. And it's hands-on. So, sometimes I do marketing Mondays, but it's very light. We don't dive really deep. But with the workshop, right, exactly. But when we do the workshops, and I don't think for some businesses, that's all they need. we would go through an example. So say if there's 10 people, we would identify, we would go through, and I would give examples. I would assess, take a look at their work, see, and then make suggestions for them. It's more it's a guided meditation. It's basically going along the way, because if I were just to quickly talk like today, I doubt anyone was going to see this live and say, okay, I'm ready to do a marketing plan. No. But with a little bit, attending like a workshop or doing a little research, they can get an idea. Also, it's almost like someone, looking over their work and saying, am I on the right track? Like, is this what you mean? And we kind of go through that. So that's probably the best things for a solopreneur, is getting some guided help if their budget doesn't have someone created. And that way they can go on afterwards, year after year, performing those steps that we did through the workshop to identify those questions. That's one way. The other way is a partnership. When I do marketing plans, what I do is I try to fit within a client. So meaning, yes, I have corporate clients, I have medium clients, I have small clients, I have solopreneurs. So a marketing plan, the fluctuation in cost is research. So some clients, like a medium business, may need a competitor analysis. And a solopreneur doesn't really need a competitor analysis. They would need less research than maybe a bigger brand. So that can fluctuate the price. Some of the marketing plans session, if I have a client, someone I'm working with now, she paid a lot of money with different partners, and she has all of this research on her business. So all I'm going to do is pull everything she has, sit down with her, have a shorter session, and condense it down to a plan for her. Right? So that's not going to be as robust as someone starting from scratch. And some plans start as low as like $650 with some clients, you know what I mean? Depending on how much information they need.
Yeah. So it's individual, and it differs depending on where people are at in their business, whether they love to do their own marketing or not, that kind of thing. Because I know that some people are great at the digital marketing side of things and content writing and stuff like that, but maybe they just need direction. And then some people have the direction, they have no time to implement it. So you take clients of all types.
Well, even some of them, they would love to do it, but they don't have the time. They just don't have the time because they're servicing businesses, right? And it is, even with myself, some stuff I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm doing all my client work and I'm trying to get back to my stuff. That's why I'm extending my team. And I'm like, oh, I'm always missing my own business. But it is something that's 100% needed. But it does take a lot of time sometimes. It really does.
Yeah.
It is. But when you don't have a plan, it actually ends up costing you more time and more effort and more money.
In the long run. Totally.
Totally. So.
Yeah. So what would you say the next steps are for people that are watching and are thinking, you know what, this woman obviously knows what she's talking about. I need a little bit of Marsha in my life. Everybody does, by the way. How do people get in touch with, like, what's the next step? Did you go to your site and book a free call with you to discuss?
Yeah, so they can book. So I give a free health checkup, brand checkup. So they can go on my website, and it's socialmd.ca. There's a health brand check. They can go there, book a call. I give that as a free session. I try to take a look at what they have. The one thing I love to do, and I love it. This is something I love. I like to assess everything, see where they're at. Because some people come to me and say, Marsha, I need this. And I look at them like, you're fine there. You actually need the help there. So even if they work with me or not, I think the call is valuable for them, because a lot of times I'll give them some things to walk away with. And later on, sometimes they may call me back and say, oh, you know what, I did all that. It worked really well. I'd like to attend a workshop or something, right? So that's the first check. The other part, which I definitely suggest, is follow me on Instagram or Facebook, because I do I do free workshops sometimes. Then we do the paid ones, as I mentioned. I'm looking at doing a content workshop coming up in October, as well as a marketing strategy workshop coming up in October. So if they go on to Instagram, my Instagram handle is socialmdteam. Then they can keep up to date on any type of session that I'm doing. And I'm always saying, like, I'm sharing tips, I'm sharing trends. I'm trying my hardest to give so much value. Again, it's just like marketing vomit. It's like I'm throwing everything out there, but I like to keep clients up to date, knowing, hey, guess what? TikTok, how does it work for businesses? Should you be there? Should you not? So I try to
Right.
give tidbits as much as I can. So that's a great place for everyone to at least, if they just want to know tips, I share a lot there. 100%.
Awesome.
So those are 2 places.
Yeah.
Sign up for a free checkup, go on Instagram, attend any of the workshops, and then eventually, again, the bigger ones, just to if they're not ready to work with anybody, at least come out to a workshop and learn it for yourself.
Awesome. And we will be sharing those workshops through Happy Healthy Women as well, so that our community members and collective members can come and join those as well. So Marsha, thank you so much for being here today. You've given us a wealth of information as always. You're so knowledgeable, and there's a reason why you're so successful at doing what you do, because you're so giving with it. So thank you.
No
And
problem.
for those of you needing any help at all in marketing, do call Marsha. She's the best. If you're looking to do what Marsha does and stepping into leadership with Happy Healthy Women, check out our website at hhwglobal.com, and we will point you in the right direction. Marsha, you're the best. Have a great
Thank you.
day.
You too.
All right.
Thanks,
Take care, everybody.
Natalie.
Have a good one.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.